All right, so we're diving into QSRs today. Quick
Yeah.
service restaurants. I mean, who doesn't love a good burger and fries every now and then? But from what I'm seeing here, this goes way beyond just like grabbing a quick bite.
Yeah, you got a pretty hefty stack of documents there.
Yeah, we've got ghost kitchens, robot chefs, and even like the global economics of a simple menu. It's a lot to unpack.
Definitely. It's fascinating how much you can learn about the world just by looking at QSRs.
Okay, so before we get too deep into it, maybe we should start with the basics. What exactly is it that makes a QSR different from, like, say, a sit-down restaurant?
Well, it's all about speed and efficiency, right? I mean, the clue is in the name, quick service. You're looking at a system that's designed from the ground up for high volume and fast turnover.
So like limited menus, prepped ingredients, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Everything from the layout of the kitchen to the equipment they use, it's all orchestrated for speed. Think about those clamshell grills they use to cook burgers from both sides at once.
Oh, yeah, those things are cool. Do those make the grill marks?
That's exactly how they get those perfect grill marks.
Yeah.
It's all about consistency and speed. You know, you can walk into any McDonald's anywhere in the world, and that Big Mac is going to be basically the same.
Yeah, I guess that's part of the appeal, right? That consistency. But sometimes I find myself wanting something a little more unique. You know,
Yeah.
like how much can you really innovate when you're aiming for that level of standardization?
It's a good point. It's a balancing act for sure. They have to maintain consistency, but they also have to adapt to changing tastes. That's where you see these fascinating regional variations pop up.
Oh, yeah, like what?
Well, you've got Tim Hortons in Canada. They're huge up there.
For their coffee and donuts.
Yeah, exactly. Then you've got Jollibee in the Philippines. They serve spaghetti with hot dogs alongside their fried chicken. It's a really interesting fusion of American and Filipino flavors.
Spaghetti and hot dogs. That's a combo I've never heard of.
It's surprisingly popular, but it just goes to show how QSRs can reflect local cultures and preferences.
Okay, so we've got speed efficiency, consistency, and some pretty wild regional variations. But here's a question. No matter how efficient these places are, it seems like there are always long lines at peak times.
You're not wrong. And a lot of that comes down to staffing. High turnover rates are a huge challenge for QSRs. They need employees who are quick, adaptable, and can handle multiple roles. It's not easy to find and retain that kind of workforce.
So it's like a constant pressure cooker environment.
Right.
You've got orders flying and customers waiting, and you need to keep that whole operation running smoothly.
Exactly. It's not just about flipping burgers. There's a lot more to it than meets the eye.
Okay, so let's say I'm thinking about opening my own QSR. Where do I even begin?
Well, the first step is market research. You need to understand the demographics, the competition, what people are looking for.
So basically, I can't just open a seafood shack in the middle of the desert.
Probably not the best idea. Location is key. You need a spot with high visibility, easy access, and maybe a drive-through.
Got it. Location, check. Then what?
Then comes the big decision, franchise or independent.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one. So the franchise, you get the brand recognition and support, but you're kind of locked into their system.
Exactly. And with an independent operation, you have more creative freedom, but you're starting from scratch. Building your own brand, finding your own suppliers, it's a whole different ballgame.
I can see the appeal of both. But honestly, I think I'm more of the independent type. You know, I like to do things my own way,
Yeah,
but that must come with a lot more risk, right?
for sure. There's a lot more risk involved, but there's also a lot more potential reward. It all depends on your appetite for risk and your vision for your business.
So we've got risk, reward, and a whole lot of burgers in between.
This is getting me hungry.
Well, luckily, we're just getting started. We haven't even scratched the surface of this topic yet.
Okay, so we've talked about the basics, the whole efficiency thing, the challenge of the franchise versus independent dilemma. But now I kind of want to get into the future of all this, because this is where things get really interesting. Like, we're talking robots, AI, the stuff of science fiction. It really is starting to feel like science fiction is becoming reality.
Right. Like, what about these robot chefs I'm reading about? Are those actually a thing now?
Oh, yeah, they're definitely a thing. Companies are already developing robots that can flip burgers, portion fries, even make sure every patty is cooked to the perfect temperature.
Okay, wait. So I pull up to the drive-thru, and instead of a person taking my order, it's like a friendly AI bot.
Exactly. It could greet you by name, suggest your usual order, maybe even remind you about that limited time milkshake you tried last month.
And this AI is like reading my mind based on my past orders. That's kind of cool, but also kind of creepy.
Yeah, there are definitely some privacy concerns there. You know how much data is being collected, who has access to it, something we need to think carefully about.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
But shifting gears a bit, what about these ghost kitchens I keep hearing about? That sounds kind of spooky.
Well, it's not as spooky as it sounds. Basically, it's a kitchen that only does delivery. No storefront, no dining room, just a bunch of brands operating out of the same space.
So it's like a virtual food court. I order from what looks like a regular restaurant on my app, but the food is actually coming from this ghost kitchen.
Exactly. It's a way for smaller brands to compete without the overhead of a brick-and-mortar location.
That's pretty smart. But doesn't that make the competition even more intense? I mean, you could have a dozen different ghost kitchen brands all vying for attention on the same app.
Absolutely. It's a whole new battleground for customer loyalty.
This is wild. Okay, so we've got robots, AI, ghost kitchens. It's like the Jetsons. But can we talk about the elephant in the room for a sec? Like, can QSRs really keep up with the demand for healthier and more sustainable options? Because let's be real, fast food isn't exactly known for being healthy or eco-friendly.
You're right. Those haven't always been top priorities for the industry, but things are changing. Consumers are demanding healthier, more sustainable options, and QSRs are starting to respond.
So we're seeing more plant-based options, local sourcing, stuff like that.
Exactly. It's not just about doing good, it's also good business. Consumers are willing to pay for these options.
So it's a win-win. I can get a tasty plant-based burger that's also good for the planet. Sign me up. But I'm not going to lie, there will always be a place in my heart for a classic cheeseburger.
Oh, absolutely. Those comfort food staples are timeless. It's all about finding that balance, indulging in the familiar favorites while also embracing the new and exciting.
I like that balance is key.
Yeah.
Wow, so we've covered a lot of ground here, from the inner workings of a QSR kitchen to the future of fast food with robots and AI. It's a lot to process.
It is, and it really makes you think about the bigger picture, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Like, it's not just about how we order a burger anymore.
Right.
It's about how technology is changing our relationship with food and convenience and all of that.
Absolutely. And one thing that keeps coming back to me is this idea of the frictionless experience.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Like, QSRs are always trying to make things faster and more convenient.
Exactly. They want to remove any obstacle between you and that first bite. It used to take so much effort to get your fast food fix, driving to the restaurant, waiting in line, hoping they got your order right.
Oh, yeah. I definitely remember those days. But now with mobile ordering and delivery and AI recommendations, it's like instant gratification.
Exactly. But it makes you wonder, are we losing something in all of this?
Like what?
Well, like you said, it's instant gratification. Are we losing the ability to slow down, be more mindful about our choices, maybe even just savor the experience of a meal?
That's a really good point. I mean, there's something to be said for taking your time and enjoying the moment.
Absolutely. And it's something to think about as we embrace these new technologies. Are we sacrificing something in the pursuit of convenience?
Food for thought, for sure. But one thing I'm really excited about is the potential for healthier and more sustainable options.
Me too. It's great to see QSRs starting to take those things seriously.
Yeah, like imagine if it was just as easy and affordable to get a plant-based meal as it is to get a burger and fries.
That would be amazing. And not just for individual health, but for the planet as well.
Totally. QSRs have such a huge reach. If they can make sustainable sourcing and healthy ingredients the norm, it could have a ripple effect throughout the entire food industry.
I agree. They have the potential to be real agents of change.
That's a powerful thought.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one big takeaway you want listeners to walk away with?
I think the biggest takeaway is that the future of fast food is in our hands. The choices we make, the values we prioritize, they all shape the industry.
So we have the power to make a difference.
We absolutely do. So the next time you're craving a quick bite, think about the impact of your choices. You're not just ordering a meal, you're shaping the future of food.
I love that. So to all our listeners out there, thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of quick service restaurants. It's been a wild ride. And we'll be back soon with another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, stay curious and bon appetit.